Hey all, welcome to my channel. Um, if you've seen my channel, seen my videos, especially my live, you'll know that every week, once a week, I made basically a sort of resolution per se that once a week I would always do a live, at least a minimum a live a week, and this is one of those days. And usually my lives are just random stuff, whatever's going on that day or whatever may be, etc. Basically, in this case, what you see here is it's if true. Now, mind you, I should say I don't have all the facts. I'm only basing it on what I'm reading so far. This is all. That's all the case. That's all what I'm reading. That's it. I don't know the entirety of it. More information will probably come out much later. But if you're familiar with the movie The Blind Side, which was based off a book off of Michael Oher, basically, where Oher was at allegedly adopted um, by a affluent family in South, where uh, the Tuohys and essentially became part of their family, and being drafted with the Ravens, had a pretty good career with the Ravens, or a good NFL career. Let's put it that way. He had a pretty good NFL career. Um, it's one of those things where it's, if true, it's really surprising. So Michael Orr has always said, as when the movie came out, that he was not a fan of the movie. He basically was disheartened, but not more disheartened, but more of pissed off as how the movie portrayed him as being an illiterate idiot. Essentially, that's pretty much what it was. Like, he was not a leader. He didn't know how to take care of things. He did apparently, when he was doing football in high school, he had no idea what football was, how to block, etc. When in reality, now we know that's a lot of stuff was, basically romanticized and not Hollywood censor style to make it seem that way. When in reality, of course, he probably knew football growing up. I mean, he was, when he joined the school. It was a Christian school. Give me a second. Let me find out the name of the Christian school. Um, the name of this Christian school was in Memphis. It doesn't really say here the name of the school, but anyways, that he was an athlete. He was still doing track and field, uh, basketball. But in this situation, and I mean, there's video out there about him doing basketball and track and field and all such. So, like, home videos for that matter. So let's not forget that. But in this situation, when he was in 10th to 11th grade, basically joined the football team, was an offensive lineman, and I think towards his senior year, basically it sounds like, like the Tuohys had essentially adopted him as part of the family, seeing that he became more and more, with the family. In reality, what it was is, as Michael Orr would say, and it was also known that he was going from, I guess, house to house, sleeping at people's houses because his own home was a broken home, a drug addict mom with 11 siblings. And so he was essentially adopted by the Tuohys because I think that so the whole story goes is the Tuohys, seeing Michael Orr and the potential, drove him into going to their old alma mater, which was Ole Miss. Um, but now we're saying basically now, and Orr was not, basically how the movie portrayed him, he was not a fan of it. But then, of course, now what we're seeing now is recently Michael Orr did file to the point where he wants, basically, the filing states basically this is the Tuohys never adopted him, but they made him they were conservators of him. Now, conservators, if you're familiar with the term, it might sound familiar, is because the fact is that was the whole thing with Britney Spears and her father, basically, as well too, where Britney Spears' father controlled all aspects of her financial life. She couldn't make a decision of what she wanted to buy, etc. Basically, because it was one of those things where he had to control it because at the time her mental state wasn't in proper place, so that's why he had that thing. In this situation, when Aura was 18, he was he basically alleges that the Tuohys, rather than making him an adoptive family, they said basically it's like an adoptive aspect, like being adopted, but in reality, it's conservatorship, and they didn't really explain to him at that point, and he really never bothered to look that up. That's a little bit on him and as well, but at the same time, he didn't really have any representation for that matter. So, with being the fact that he was a conservator, they were a conservator of him. The movie itself shows otherwise, that every rights to the movie was through the Chewies, and the Chewies made more money off the movie, and he saw nothing as a result of it. And then the fact is, of his name as well too, Michael Orr, his name, he alleges that the Chewies have basically made a serious amount of money as a result of using his name and likeness, and he's never seen a dime of it. So the question comes down to is this true or not? Did the Tuohys actually manipulate, or the fact where they saw basically that you had a kid that was on the rising, up and coming rising star basically, and they're like, you know what, let's be his conservator rather than adopt him. Let's be his conservatorship, and maybe get some money off of this kid. If that's true, it's possible. I mean, some people have alleged that was the case as well too. When the movie was coming out, even when the book came out at the time, some people had alleged already that Tuohy's actually at the time were like more pushing or towards their alma mater, but also like using this more of to further their fame and further their fortune, using his name basically. Um, so let's not be surprised if this is true or not. Now, again, I don't know entirely the entire facts of it. We'll probably find out more and more much later down the line as more information comes to light. I would not be surprised. Um, but it's one of those things where like of course Michael Orr is no longer in the NFL. He retired. Yeah, well respected player. He was never really a leader, of course, but of course at the same time, he's made millions of dollars off of the NFL at this point as well too. The question is like, did the Tuohys also get a piece of that money? I don't think they did because I think his agent, pretty much said, no, like why would you get money off of him? Basically, it's up to him at that point. If you were adopted or something like that, and that's why I'm a little confused. If they were his conservators, shouldn't they have that ability to basically still get some of that money off of his NFL money at that point as well too? So, but in any case, it was a case where like he did make it, like he did bring it up at one point when the movie first came out. Not everything was accurate, and but he was content with living with what how the movie portrayed him, until recently, where basically, now the question is why this is happening now. There's something must have came to light basically where he realized the Tuohys must have made a serious amount of money and he saw nothing of it basically at that point. Um, Now, I will say this. Some people would say basically this. I'm not going to say this actually. I should say some people would say this like from an African American standpoint. They're probably like, "Yep, it's the white man basically taking advantage of a black person, basically the black man," and the white family is like, "You know what? Some other white, not white supremacists, but other people might say, well, look, man, these are privileged members that basically took you into their home, and as a result, you had a healthy, normal lifestyle, basically normal. I don't want to say normal childhood because from the age of from birth till like 10, 15, he didn't really have a normal childhood, but they helped him out with his tutoring, helped him out with his education, helped him get into college, and then helped him get a career basically at this point. So like it's one of those things where it's like, well, yeah, look, you're just ungrateful. You're just an ungrateful little son of a gun, basically, where a family helped you in this situation, and you're like, like why can't they just profit off of that or something like that nature? I don't know if that's the case, but it may or may not be true about that part. But it's more of a case of like some people are probably saying it's like, look, they took you in, they helped educate you, they helped you get into good college education, and also at the same time you got a great NFL career and you made millions. So why should you be pissed off about it? For that matter. Now, if it's true that they did make millions off of him and that he didn't see a dime of it, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where some people were saying back then when the movie first came out as well too, was like, like our white family's going to do this, where like they're going to take advantage of underprivileged kids, take them into their homes, have them sign conservatorship so that they can make some money off of this kid, or this child basically when down the line when they become professional, when they become pros or whatnot, basically when they become millionaires. Um, it's it's a tough thing to say, honestly. Um, I will say this though, from my personal perspective, it's a two-way street basically in this situation. He made some serious money off of this. If he did not stay with them, if the Tuohys did not stay with him in his house, he would not become the millionaire that he is. Chances are he probably would be out on the streets right now too. And at the same time, the Tuohys, they did take advantage of a kid, and they made money off of him. I mean, like if you were there to basically provide the shelter and love that he needed, that'd be a different story. But in reality, it looks like I mean, there's a possibility that happened too as well too. I don't know, but it sounds like they didn't. The fact is like they were making money off of his name. But in reality, thinking about it now, I mean, some parents maybe want to make some money off of their kid. Basically, I mean, you're seeing that nowadays. You know, showbiz kids, celebrity kids, some family members, some parents basically make money off their child's fame. Basically, I mean, let's not forget you had like all these football players with Campbell Soup. They showed their moms. The moms, of course, were getting paid at that point as well too. Of course, the athletes themselves like, okay, it's good to have like let my mom be in there. But the moms were happy about getting gaining that fame at that point as well too. So let's not forget that part. So, but it is a two-way street. I hate to say about that. Is this right? It's a matter of perspective. I can't say it's right or wrong. Honestly, it's like I said, it's hard to say because without them, without the Tuohys, does Orr become Michael Orr, or would he be some just statistic out in the streets? And at the same time, is without Michael Orr, do the Tuohys get more money as a result of this? Do they make a fame? Do they get that notoriety because of the movie and all that stuff? It's hard to say. I don't know, honestly. Is again a question of right and wrong. It's a gray matter. I mean, it's a gray. I hate to say it's yeah, but it is a gray matter in this situation. I mean, like there's the line between black and white are basically blurred in this situation. It is very hard to define it if this is right or wrong. A lot of people made money. I mean, like honestly, you made money off of it. You're all doing really well. It's just a matter of like, is this a case of greed now? Like, is this the case where like is Orr pissed off that other people are making money off him and he's just greedy? I'm like, wait, why are you making money off of me when I'm like seeing a diamond? I'm like, honestly, it's like if you have $120 million or if you have $100 million, man, I'm like, does it really matter at this point? I mean, don't you want to just live a comfortable life? Same time with the twos. I mean, like, if you're already multimillionaires, why would you want to, like, it sounds like they're multimillionaires. Why would you want to make more money off this kid, basically? And at the same time, their biological kids could have been making money off this as well, too. So I don't know. But like I said, I can't define it to being right or wrong. It's not for me to judge just yet because I don't have all the information. And two, the thing is again, I mentioned those cases. I don't know how you can define it basically because without them, he's probably statistics. Without him, they probably don't get that notoriety. So I don't know what to say at that point. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your comments. What do you guys think? Do you think we should just wait? I mean, I know people have their opinions right now. Chances are the black community is going to be in an uproar. It's like, of course, the white family taking advantage of and exploiting, a black, what's it called? Black exploitation or something like that. In this situation, I mean, I granted I used the terminology incorrectly as well as the context of it basically because that was more of other aspects of how it was. But in this situation, it's almost in that situation where like they exploited a young black African American, took his name, likeness, and basically profited off it as well as getting more notoriety. But at the same time, some people are going to say as well the vice versa is like, hey, look, without them, he's out on the street. He's probably a statistic. For all we know, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. He could be. For all we know, I don't know if that's true or not. But again, like, let me know your comments. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Should we be able to judge either one of them? Should he just be grateful? Should they be penalized in some ways? Is this morally wrong? Is this overall wrong? What if this turns out to be true? And whatnot. I don't know. And from that aspect as well too, I don't see any live chats. I hate to say this. I'm gonna figure this part out actually. I'm gonna try to stream off into Twitch as well too eventually. But in any case, I am using OBS. I'm sorry, I am using OBS in this situation. I gotta work and figure out how to work OBS to live stream to YouTube as well as to Twitch. But in any case, I'll leave it at that. If you like my channel, like my videos, like my content, please subscribe. And for those that have subscribed, I thank you for subscriptions. With that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, unrehearsed. And of course, you're welcome to leave a comment. I do read my comments. As I mentioned, I do read my comments. I do respond to them when they weren't response and when I get notified about them. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Again, until next time.